Hello guys and welcome to a new tutorial. Today we will be recreating the Blizzard ability from Warcraft 3. After you are done following this tutorial, you can alter the visuals of your ability to better fit your game. First, we will set up our scene with a plane and a checker material. Create a new particle system and call it Flying Object. Reset its position and under shape settings, change the shape to sphere and radius to the minimum possible so that our particles spawn at the very center. Set its duration and lifetime to 1, start speed to 0.5 and start size to 1.5. Simulation speed to 5 so that it is a bit faster, and I'm going to move it up a bit so that I can look at it better. Cool. Change simulation space to world. Move it around a bit and you can see we are leaving a nice trail behind, but it is instantly disappearing and that's not pleasing to the eye, so enable size over lifetime and pick a curve going down. Yeah, that's much better. Duplicate our flying object and rename it Impact FX. Disable looping and under emission settings set the rate over time to 0 and add a burst. Up here enable start speed to be random between two values and set them to 2 and 3, then lower the simulation speed to 2. Okay, that looks good enough. Drag our Impact FX game object inside our flying object to make it a child. Reset its position and disable the game object. Add a sphere collider as well as a rigid body to our flying object, then give it a new C# script called Flying Object script. Drag our flying object into our projects folder to create a prefab of it. Now you can just delete it from the scene. Create a new game object. Reset its position and call it Blizzard. Give it a new C# script called Blizzard Spawner. Alright, open up these scripts and let's begin coding. For our flying object script, we will need to add system.link here, and we can just get rid of these lines. Now for variables, we will use a string array to check what will we collide with. A float that will hold our impact radius, another float that will be the time before we destroy this object. This is important so that particles get to play. If you set this delay to 0, then it will just destroy itself as soon as it hits something. We also need a game object variable that will hold our impact effects we created in Unity. Inside start, we need to assign this variable, so we will use transfer.find for that since it is a child of this game object. We don't really need updates, so just get rid of it and instead do onTrigger enter. First things first, we need to check our tags. If .contains give you an error, that's because you did not add system.link up here. So make sure you have that. Cool, now we use physics over let sphere to get all the colliders inside our radius and run a for each loop. In here we will create a temporary variable and call it enemy. This will be of type rigid body. We check if we have assigned this variable. So here you can deal damage to your enemies. In my case, I will just destroy their game object. Alright, do you remember we have the Impact FX game object disabled in Unity, right? Well, now we enable it and unparent it so that if we destroy the Blizzard game object, it won't stop playing the particle animation. Now we destroy the Impact FX game object with a delay, and lastly destroy the flying object. Awesome, we are done with this script. On to the next one. Here we will begin by setting up some public variables. First one will be the prefab we created, the amount of prefabs we will be creating, the time to wait before destroying each prefab, how often they spawn, the AoE spawn radius, how much force we will add upon spawning them, and the offset. You can use the offset if you want them to come from an angle. For private variables, we will need a boolean to stop our loops and a float that will be our timer. We don't need start. Under update, the first thing we do is check our boolean, so if we are not dead, we check if our timer is smaller or equals to 0. Here we need to reset the timer and lower the amount by 1. Before we spawn our prefab, we need to do a few calculations. One of them is the spawn position. So first, we get the world position of this game object and add a new vector 3. This will be a random position inside a circle, then we just add our spawn offset variable. Now we can create our prefab at the spawn position using quaternion identity for rotation. We need to assign its parent to be this transform so that we don't crowd our hierarchy with lots of game objects. Next, we gotta calculate the direction of our force. If you don't have anything assigned to your spawn offset variable, then this will not work, but also that it is up to you if you want to add a force to it. I will show you in Unity how this works after we are done coding. We destroy this prefab using our delay so that it does not keep going forever and ever and ever and ever. Okay, we gotta stop the loop if our amount is smaller or equals to 0 and also destroy the blizzard spawner using our delay. The last thing we will do in this script is out here lower the timer using delta time. And that's it for our scripts. Back in Unity, I'm going to open my flying object prefab and enable its trigger under the sphere collider settings. For our public variables, I need to assign a tag. You can give it whatever tag works best for you, like, I don't know, enemy, player, etc. In my case, I'm just going to use untagged. Impact radius as well as destroy delay to 1. Out here we need to set the public variables for blizzard spawner, so drag the flying object prefab up here, and for amount, I will give it something crazy high for testing purposes. Destroy delay, spawn interval and radius to 1. We need to give it a spawn offset so that they don't spawn on the ground. Give it like a 5 on the y-axis. Hit play and let's test things out. Awesome. It's spawning 5 units from the transform's position on the y-axis. Now change the x value to 10, and now they will spawn to the right. If you check out the blizzard's position, it's way over here, and they just keep falling straight down instead of towards the blizzard's position. Give it a spawn force of 2 and it should work now. I'm going to mess around with the offset and force values a bit. Increase the radius to 5 and you can see they now spawn on a bigger area. I'm going to make them spawn faster. Change the spawn interval to 0.1. Okay, looking pretty good. Now if you have a lot of them spawning really fast, they might collide with each other. An easy fix here is to change the tag of your flying object and voila! Play around with its values and then change or add more particles to customize it and look however you want. Here are some examples I came up with. Go crazy with it. That's it for this tutorial. A quick announcement, some of you advised me to create a Patreon and so I did. I will be constantly adding content to it such as game projects, 3D files, VFX assets, and more goodies to help you develop your games. I'm looking forward to creating more awesome stuff with you guys and growing this community. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, it helps me out a lot. I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.